wrestling with your kids, trash talking during a football game, screaming at someone while playing tag. On paper, these all look like obvious danger cues, right? So, why do they feel so good? In this episode, we move into the second mixed state, play. What's actually happening on a nervous system level when you wrestle with your kids, trash talk during a game, or work on something difficult with a coworker? We'll look at why play needs safety and mobility at the same time, and what changes when the play moves from your living room to the online world. And we'll also see what play looks like in two very different toddlers on the same soccer field. Hey, I'm Justin Sinceri, a therapist, self-regulation coach, and Polyvagal Institute editorial board member. You are listening to Stuck Not Broken, the podcast, but more specifically, you're listening to Stuck Not Broken, Book 1, Trauma and the Polyvagal Paradigm. One quick note before we continue with the play episode. This is an audiobook, and it's meant to be heard in order. Each episode builds on the ones right before it. So if you're just finding this show right now, go back, at least I recommend, go back and start from the beginning. It's going to make a lot more sense that way. And if you want to support this show, or you'd rather read the book, this book and the next two are available now in both digital and softcover. I'll put a link in the description. And thank you so much ahead of time if you choose to support the show financially. I really appreciate it. Last time we covered freeze, flight or fight plus shutdown, which is this like tense immobilization. This time we're going to look at something a lot lighter, play, which is safety plus flight fight, connection plus mobility. What is play? Play is a combination of ventral vagal safety state activation with sympathetic flight fight. When we play, we're active, but we're safe. We're mobile and social at the same time. We use our face and our voice to signal safety to the other participant or participants who are engaged in the play. My children and I love to run around chasing each other. We play fight, we wrestle, we throw things, we scream and we yell. All of these are potentially danger cues in and of themselves, but when you see our faces, you'll see smiles and eye crinkles. Our eyebrows are upright, and we share eye contact. Our ears are still attuned to human voice, so discussing the game's rules or creating new ones on the fly is not an issue. Our voices have a lot of range, along with laughter as well. So there's tons of safety cues involved in our mobilization. Play can also involve two nervous systems sharing attention, even if the obvious social cues are missing. Two people can share in activities like working on a puzzle or competing in chess without obvious pro-social cues. They utilize shared time, turn-taking, agreed-upon rules, and social norms. These require the individuals to have enough safety access to engage with each other without defensive activation. Working on a project with a coworker, that can be a form of play, and we might want to call that productivity or motivation instead, but it's play. For example, Mercedes Corona was my podcast host and colleague years ago. We developed a curriculum and we presented it to our school district staff colleagues. It is a lot of work, but the two of us we enjoyed the shared experience and consistently provided safety cues to each other. We exchanged ideas back and forth, challenged each other, and encouraged each other. We played for all intents and purposes, even though we were working. Play also extends into sports, a mobilized, shared activity that involves safety cues. Of course, the other team is not looking to provide safety cues, but there's a significant difference between an opposing player using intimidation and one that actually wants to hurt you. We can see intimidation, trash talking, and overt aggression within the rules and norms of many sports. Acting within the confines of those norms doesn't trigger a distinct neuroception of danger, but acting outside of those norms definitely can. For example, in American football, the defense is allowed to tackle the quarterback on the offense. If the defense tackles the quarterback on the offense before he throws the ball, that's called a sack, and there's no penalty for it. But if the defense tackles the quarterback after he's thrown the ball, this is not a sack, and it will likely result in a penalty. It's basically against the rules to tackle the quarterback after he has thrown the ball, or touch him on the helmet, or below the knees, or to land on him with your body weight. Let's just say there is a lot of rules in place to protect the quarterback. Even in this situation where one tackle is okay, one tackle is not, every contextual piece can be the same. The same defensive player can make the same tackle on the same quarterback in the same spot on the field. But one type of tackle is okay, and the other one is not. All the players know this and they agree to the rules. A sack is fine, but the penalized tackle is not. In fact, the offensive players on the quarterback's team, the offensive players take this penalty very seriously. They see tackling the quarterback after he throws it as a direct insult or threat to one of their own. The offensive players will come to the quarterback's aid and use physical and verbal intimidation on the offending defensive player. Then the defensive players come to the aid of their teammate, and a mob of players shove each other for a few seconds. And then it gets broken up and normal play resumes. So, what's happening in this situation? The offensive players neurocept the penalty as an actual danger, a direct attack on their quarterback. They lose access to their safety state, and their play becomes something else. It turns into defensive activation, resulting in yelling and shoving. Then the defensive teammates neurocept the danger from the offense, resulting in them yelling and shoving as well. Both teams basically lose access to their safety state, and so they're no longer playing. They're actually threats to each other. Play needs the safety state access. If the safety state's inactive, defensive activation dominates. If defensive activation dominates, defensive behaviors occur like hitting, yelling, running away, or giving up and isolating. The importance of play. Play exercises the ability to shift up and down the polyvagal ladder while anchored in safety. We use mobility, flight or fight, when playing, like running down a soccer field or tackling in football. We may also use shutdown when immobile in hide and seek, or even freeze in freeze tag. Because of the safety anchoring, we can move freely up and down the ladder, building our ability to handle these shifts over time. Simultaneously, we strengthen the safety state over time, building self-regulation over time. Play is essential in children. Oh, everybody, but especially children. It's not just about having fun. Play is how they build the strength of their social engagement system. Adults can also build their safety state through play. But with children, it provides the foundation for self-regulation to build on in the future. Super important. Parents and other caretakers must allow children ample time and opportunities to play with their peers and safe others in their lives, like family members. Play in video games. Play can look many different ways: dance, sports, competition, puzzles, role playing, theater, and I'd argue even video games. But let's differentiate between in person and isolated online gaming. In person video gaming can have a huge social, fun, or competitive components. If you can work with a teammate in a video game, you'll use strategizing and problem solving. You need to be anchored in safety to use these cognitive skills. But you also need the competitive edge that comes from the sympathetic state. There's also opportunity for social connection, like smiling with each other between rounds. You use your voice to talk with other players, working together on a shared focus or a shared goal. Are video games the same as dance or baseball? I don't think so. But I do think there's value to gaming, especially if that's the best option that you have at your disposal. If you're a parent who can't mobilize on a sunny day due to a chronic illness, then maybe you can play video games instead. Yeah, a puzzle or a coloring book is also a great option, maybe a better one. But video games are fair game, in my opinion. And yeah, I'm kind of sorry about that pun. In my home, Mario Kart is a common way for my family of four to connect through play. We soothe each other's high arousal states through social interaction, like eye contact and vocal prosody, at least between races. We also antagonize each other with taunts, but we stay within family and social norms. Games like Mario Kart and Animal Crossing are ones that we can play together in the same room, exchanging safety cues amongst each other. But other games, like Fortnite, require my kids and me to separate into different rooms to play together online. Fortnite is still fun, but it's much more competitive than casual gaming in the same room. My kids and I can still play in the polyvagal sense of the word. We can still play through Fortnite, but access to safety deteriorates compared to other games. The kids bicker over who holds what weapons or brag about who has the most eliminations. It's typically my daughter. She's pretty awesome at it. Online gaming in isolation is different from in person play, like the Fortnite example compared to Mario Kart. The players don't see each other's faces. There is some opportunity for some vocal exchange, but not a whole lot, and not necessarily since many players don't even use their microphones. And because there are no visual safety cues from the other players, vocal cues such as yelling and groans and swearing and bragging and taunting and insults, these are more easily intercepted as danger cues, thereby shifting the participants from potential play into more likely fight or maybe flight or maybe shutdown. Mobilization without safety. Individuals in a defensive state may be unable to handle the sympathetic mobilization of play while also accessing their safety system. They mobilize, but they're not able to contain their flight or fight behavior to use for pro-social, playful interaction. You can see the problem here. This person cannot exist in their safety state, but they need to for play. Their defensive activation is out of control, but it needs to be under control for play. They need both mobility and safety at the same time, but they struggle to hold both of them. Have you ever heard of kids who don't play well with others? These are those kids. Their defensive state is active without the safety state, resulting in breaking norms and rules. These kids lack self regulation and struggle to accept the social cues of play from their peers. Kids and adults who push the limit of acceptable play will end up hurting someone. They won't feel guilt over it either. They'll blame the person or shame them. You need access to the safety state to empathize and to feel sorrow for hurting another. This individual has less access to the safety state and therefore does not feel empathy or sorrow, at least not in that moment where they've lost access to safety. All right, story time. It is 2017 and I am at my son's first soccer game. It's a field with 12 toddlers on it. There's a mix of nervous system states present, as you can guess. Many have dropped down their ladder and want their parents, refuse to go on the field, need something like a snack or water, or they're just getting worn out. There are parents in the field, coaches, and a couple of refs. and everyone is telling the kids what to do. It is a fairly dysregulated state of affairs. One boy in particular is highly mobilized, on the field when he's not supposed to be, not following directives from the coach or the ref, and he is touching the ball with his hands, which you're not allowed to do in soccer. He's just moving around without much safety state active. His safe and social system is not developed enough to inhibit the impulse to move. He crashes into other kids and falls repeatedly as well. The falls are fake, by the way. I witnessed one thing that might shed some light on this particular soccer player's dysregulation. At one point, the child had fallen down and stayed on the ground despite the game around him and the adults telling him to get up. He's not in a tantrum or a meltdown. He's just laying down on the grass. His dad walks onto the field for the third time to correct his behavior. The little soccer player gets up with his arms up, waiting to be held by his dad. But the dad spins the kid around and gives him a little push back onto the field. The dad showed no emotion or expression, didn't say anything, and provided his son with no support, encouragement, or any obvious signals of safety or love or encouragement. I have no idea what life is like for that kid and his dad. Maybe dad is typically more supportive of his child, but this little window gives a glimpse into the possible lack of support the little soccer player gets from his dad, the lack of emotional development, the lack of safety pathways being nurtured in essence. In that moment, it made sense to me why the child was so dysregulated, especially in an environment surrounded by other dysregulated nervous systems and noise, heat, and eyes watching. This boy was on the field and dressed for soccer, but was he playing? No, not really. Another time, during another soccer game, maybe the same one. Actually, I don't know. But there was a little girl, and she stood frozen in the middle of the field. She didn't want to go out in the first place, and she resisted her mother with a quiet protest before the game began. Her body was tense as her mother carried her out and placed her in the middle of the field. When the initial ball was kicked and the kids started scrambling after it, this particular little girl just stayed in her spot, frozen in place. Her muscles were tense, her eyes were wide, and she avoided all potential eye contact. She seemed unable to hear the sounds around her. Her mother and the coach attempted to use their vocal prosody to coax her into participating, but these attempts were futile and led nowhere. This little girl was in a state of mobilization, evidenced by the muscle tension and shallow breathing. But she was also in a state of immobilization, evidenced by not moving. She was in a freeze state, like we talked about in the last one. Her body prepared to both run and shut down at the same time, not out of excitement, but out of fear. Maybe of the crowd or a failure or immense pressure from her parents, who knows? When her mom escorted her off the field, she softened immediately in relief as her mom held her in her lap. The girl was also dressed for soccer and on the field, but was she playing? Obviously not. Why is mobilization unsafe? Well, anything is unsafe without access to the safety state or without the ability to accept safety cues from another person. When there's danger, we use flight or fight mobility. That's what we evolved to do. Survive danger through movement. Thanks to the newer social engagement system, mammals can contain or repurpose their flight or fight activation for prosocial behavior. If we didn't have a safety system, we'd all be either mobile or immobile, like lizards. The mixed state of play would not exist. Lizards don't play. If we access the flight or fight mobilization system to play without safety activated along with it, we're simply left with mobilized defensive behaviors, which is fight or flight by itself. The safety system needs to be active for play. If safety is not active, it's simply not play. The result is an increased heart rate without the social engagement system necessary to regulate the flight or fight impulses. If safety is inactive, we perceive the environment and others as threatening. Our perceptual filter of safety is gone. A person in a defensive state has lost their ability to recognize safe facial cues that are necessary during play. They're also not providing those same facial cues. This person is not using vocal prosody to suggest they're a safe mammal. They've lost the ability to use their full range of voice, signaling safety to the other parties involved. We need our safety state active to repurpose flight or fight activation for social engagement. Once safety is active, we can mobilize with others without risk of dysregulated flight or fight, as long as the safety state is active enough. We can also use our mobilized safety state when we're alone. Safety plus flight or fight without others looks like exercise or focused motivation. We mobilize to meet personal goals, like in business or fitness. So that's play. Safety plus flight or fight. Connection plus mobility, plus a safe other as well. And without the safe other, we could just call it motivation. Next time, stillness and intimacy. The mixed state of safety plus shutdown, and what it looks like when immobility is actually safe, when it's okay to immobilize. If you want to take this chapter further, the written book has journal reflections for it, along with primary source quotes and no ads. It and the next 2 books are linked in the description if you'd like to support this show. Thank you so much for listening.